This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Hello and welcome to a special holiday extra bonus special edition episode of the Clean Energy Show.
Who are you?
I'm Brian Stockton.
I'm James Whittingham. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy holidays around the world. We're bringing you an encore of our bonus podcast that was just for our supporters on Patreon who are supporting us with $5 a month or more. They get a monthly bonus podcast. And while we were doing it, we said, wow, this information is so great. It's too bad the general audience isn't hearing it. So with our Patreoners' permission, we are putting this out for the public a month later for everyone to hear.
Yeah, and it allows us, of course, also to take a week off over the holidays.
And I think there's some good information, and we're about to talk about that now.
Hello and welcome to the December 2025 bonus episode of the Clean Energy Show. I'm Brian Stockton.
And now I'm James Whittingham. This month, well, it's December, Brian.
Yeah.
The Christmas month, it's known as. Also, cold month. We're doing this podcast as a gift, as a reward for our Patreon, because you have to give rewards to your Patreon supporters at certain levels, and they increase as you go up. So if you give $5 US a month, you get this Clean Club membership and higher with a bonus podcast every month, and this is it. So this week, or this month, I guess, we've got various stories. You want to talk about what you're going to talk about on the show today?
Yes, I'm going to talk about the number of EVs that are going to be on the road by next year, a new smart bike helmet from Rivian, and the world's largest sand battery.
And I'm going to talk about the U.S. stockpiling the things that we need for clean energy for evil, for war, and corn's climate problem as well, ethanol.
So, James, do you remember Expo 86 in Vancouver, Canada?
I do. My brother and his wife went, which I found really odd because they didn't seem like the people to care about anything in the world. I don't think they've ever voted. I don't think they don't hardly travel, but they went there for some reason.
And you didn't go then, it sounds like.
No.
Well, I went and there's only two things I remember. The first was I saw IMAX 3D for the first time. This was a demonstration thing. Yeah. So we did actually have 3D film here at our IMAX for a while. They got rid of one film projector so that they could put in the digital. So it's fairly common in digital IMAX now to have 3D. But then the other thing was I saw a Joe Jackson concert. I've always been a Joe Jackson fan, the British new wave rocker guy. Mm-hmm. And he did a show at Expo 86. I drove to Vancouver for that. I don't even remember how I heard about it. Like, this was before the internet. Like, how did we know about things in other cities and buy tickets for them?
I wonder that myself. Like, how do we do anything? How do we drive anywhere?
Yeah.
Like, do we have a map on our steering wheel that we're just sort of glancing at? Like, how do we do anything?
I know.
It's incredible.
But
and, anyone older than us and the baby boomers, they're still back there. They're still in 1986. They don't know how to use Google Maps. They don't know how to use GPS. They don't know how to use the internet for research or doing anything. In my life, that's the case, though, the baby boomers and silent generationers that I have for relatives. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. Nothing drives me more crazy than a group of people sitting around talking about something that could easily be solved by somebody just Googling it.
Let me ask you this, though. I'm curious how long you took to drive there. Do you remember? Like, did you stop or did you do something crazy that a young person would do?
I think we probably drove straight. I really don't remember, but I think we probably drove straight through. Yeah, without stopping.
So two people?
Yeah, sun up to sundown. Taking turns. It was in June, so, the weather would have been good and would have been longer days.
Right.
But yeah, our friend Spiro does it all the time. He does it in one shot. And
still?
He only does it when it's in the summer when you're at the longest days. So you can leave in the daylight and get here by the sunset.
How many hours is that?
Just barely. It's about 17, 16 hours. It's improved a lot, according to Spiro, because, they added bypasses and stuff in Calgary. You used to have to drive through Calgary, like through the main street of Calgary. Yeah. So, over the years, it's an hour shorter than it used to be, based on highway improvements.
The Coquihalla Highway, which is 120 kilometers an hour
Yeah.
We don't usually have higher speeds than 110 or mostly are 100 kilometers an hour, which is about 62 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The Kohal is great.
And you know what? They built that in a couple of years in the 80s, in the late 80s, which is nuts. It's nuts that they did that.
Yeah, probably would have cost 10 times as much to do it today. And of course,
you're looking at bridges and canyons and sides of mountains and all that. It's a 4-lane freeway.
I just watched another B1M video on YouTube, the world's tallest bridge that they built in China. China's just doing everything and doing everything big. The world's tallest
almost everyone
bridge.
Born there is born to be an engineer now. It seems like they're all, the 100,000 working on batteries for one company. It's insane.
So I forget the exact details, but it's something like you could stack up 3 Empire State Buildings underneath this bridge. It's so high up. It's in this canyon. Absolutely.
So
insane.
If you jumped off, you would have a long time to contemplate your life before you hit anything.
They are doing bungee jumping off this bridge.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah.
Like that, you could have a really long bungee.
Really long.
Oh, that's concerning.
They knew it would be a tourist destination, so there's also a coffee shop at the top of one of the supports, the really tall supports.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. So when you cross the bridge, well, let's stop for a coffee in the middle of the bridge. That would be good.
Yeah. But anyway, the reason I bring up Expo 86 is I just bought tickets to see Joe Jackson in Vancouver at the Vogue Theater.
In a wheelchair.
In May they're going to wheel him out in a wheel. No, he's only 71, which is young, compared to other aging rock stars.
He was a contemporary practically then back in 86.
Yeah. So, in May. So it'll be almost exactly 40 years since I saw him at Expo 86.
Well, tell me you're going to fly.
Yes, I'm going to fly.
You're too old for this, Brian. You're too old to make that Vancouver trip.
Haven't booked the tickets
still does it in one day, still to this day.
But only, like I said, if you can do it in the peak of summer when the days are the longest. Yeah.
Well, still, I admire the man for it. Yeah. I mean, what kind of trucker pills is he popping to get that done? Got his age. He's our age, so.
Oh, natural, baby.
He's got better genes than us somehow, and a gumption to just keep going. Okay, the United States, according to a Republican senator, says that the United States should quit trying to compete with China on electric vehicles.
Yeah.
U.S. Senator Bernie Moreno said Tuesday, sparking renewed debate over what direction the nation's auto industry should take. This is surprising, especially from a Republican. It's probably more likely that you actually hear it from a Republican because the Democrats are all about the union jobs.
Yeah.
And that is such an important part of many regions of the United States. And even Tennessee now and places like that, there's a lot of jobs down there that are union jobs or non-union jobs. That's kind of why they're setting up shop down there.
Yeah.
Is they're getting the union rules are more lax. So he says we're ahead of them by a mile. We used to be ahead of them by a mile everywhere else with our auto industry, with the internal combustion engine. But they went into EVs. And they convinced the Western world to go into EVs and play their game. He said he's from Ohio, and he said this at an auto industry conference, and he said it was irrational and dumb that we're just not going to compete. And I have trouble saying this out loud, but I kind of quietly agree. I can say that because there's no auto industry anywhere near me.
Yeah.
I'm out here in the prairies in the middle of nowhere, but I can't say anything about, we don't have any industries here. Except for the oil industry, which I am encouraging to disappear one day. But yeah, it's quite shocking too. And it seems you can debate this all day long, but it seems like he might have a point.
Right. I mean, for the short term, but as in the long term, since everything is going EV, isn't it there may be a short-term benefit.
Yeah. Short term.
Yeah.
It's a short-term benefit of making combustion engines right now. But ultimately, if you're not pouring your resources in, it's going to happen quickly.
Yeah.
The tide will turn fairly quickly once, they start entering your market wherever you are. And outside of the United States and Canada, they're pretty much in most markets.
Well, and of course, he's ignoring the fact that Tesla really jump-started this whole thing. And that's, of course, an American company. So America was ahead in EVs. But
it was.
Because they didn't keep up with that. Now they're not.
Because we've watched the Tesla story unfold, and it's been a struggle the whole way. It's always very tough to do. But the Chinese, you have like a cell phone maker or, somebody like that. And 2 years later, they've got like a best-selling car. It's insane. Like, Tesla couldn't do that. Now, there are big help from the communist government. The authoritarian government there will help you get going. And there's a lot more going on there with manufacturing expertise that you can bring in and things like that. But still, it's the fact that they didn't make cars until a few years ago en masse, then it's quite remarkable what's happened in China. But I don't have a lot of faith in the combustion automakers, and Toyota's still pushing a hydrogen vehicle.
Yeah.
Like a passenger vehicle. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. There's no need for it. It's like...
No, it's weird. Why people would go down that road is weird. This dovetails nicely into the first thing I want to talk about. This is from Green Tech Lead. The installed base of electric vehicles in 2026 is going to hit about 116 million. So typically when we talk about EV sales rate, we talk about the percentage of new car sales. And we talked about on the last episode, in Norway, they're up to 97% of new car sales are EVs, and it goes down from there. But the installed base, of course, is going to take a long, long time to replace. But 116 million by next year is not bad. That's going to be up 30% from 2025, from this year. And the installed base of cars around the world is somewhere just above a billion cars. So by next year, we'll be approaching 10% of the fleet will be electric cars. That's kind of wild.
And Brian, next year, less than a month away.
Yeah, that's right.
And not that that's when the market's hit, but that year starts in less than a month. So we're wow.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty significant. And that's got to be a big pain for our friends in the oil industry.
Yeah.
The nice, good people who are in headquarters in London trying to destroy the planet.
Yeah. And the installed base in Norway is up to something like, I think, approaching 50%. Oh, and I should say that does include plug-in hybrids, which is a little bit unfortunate. But the installed base in Norway is getting up around 50%. And they're, of course, leading the way in that. And that's where it's all heading. Like, this trend is not reversing. So for automakers to ignore EVs and not...
No, the United States, Trump, he can't stop it.
Yeah.
It's... Al Gore had a biblical analogy, but I can't remember what it was, and I didn't really quite understand it. But it's basically like, somebody trying to stop the floods.
Yeah.
That, it's unstoppable.
Yeah. You're too much of a heathen to understand it.
Too much of a heathen there. It's been meant to be said on this show for years, and it's finally been said. Okay, this is from The Guardian. People are studying that the U.S. has earmarked billions of dollars to stockpile critical minerals for military use. This has not been, to my knowledge, out there, really. No one's really admitted to this.
Yeah, well, like I remember hearing the sort of most famous story from the critical minerals thing is there's apparently some like super magnet that they need to put in their fighter jets in the U.S.
Yeah.
And their only supplier is China. And this whole F-16 jet won't fly if it doesn't have this one tiny little magnet that you can only get from China. And so this is what they're up against in
that's not good.
The coming era.
Especially when you put trade barriers between you and China. But that's improved, and maybe it's improved because of this.
Yeah, and no doubt, obviously, military is very important in the U.S., so no doubt they're thinking of alternatives and solutions, and there is probably a solution somewhere to all of this instead of just relying on China, but that stuff doesn't happen overnight.
The study was from the Transition Security Project, a joint U.S. and U.K. venture, and it reveals that the Pentagon is stockpiling huge stores of critical minerals that are needed for a range of climate technologies, including solar panels, wind turbines, electric vehicles, and battery storage. A lot of these things need copper for batteries and other minerals. But things that move with magnets, cars, they have, any electrical motor requires magnets, and the critical minerals for those magnets are sought after highly in the world. So it found that since U.S. President Donald Trump passed his One Big Beautiful Bill earlier this year, the Pentagon, through its National Defense Stockpile Program, has earmarked billions of dollars to secure a growing list of critical minerals Yes, and that drives up the prices, basically. AI-driven autonomous warfare platforms, robots and drones and all that stuff need that. So it's competing with the clean technology, which is a bit ironic.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about Rivian a couple of weeks ago where they had introduced a new electric bicycle. This is Rivian, the electric car maker. They've been getting into electric bikes. And this story caught my eye. Rivian has a new smart bike helmet. They have a new $250 smart bike helmet that has included safety lights and lots of tech. So this is not cheap, but it has a new thing that is supposed to be the sort of upgrade from MIPS rotational brain protection. I think we talked about that on the podcast a few years ago.
Yeah.
In bike helmets, the latest thing for protection, it's called MIPS rotational brain protection. So this one has a new system that's supposed to be better than that. 4 internal panels that are engineered to release on impact, helping to dissipate the rotational energy, a factor in many concussions. So yeah, this could lead to a new standard that's better than the MIPS standard. But it also includes other things, like I said, lights. So, now you got to plug in and charge your helmet, which is, I always have mixed feelings about adding a new thing to charge into my life because we have so many of these things.
There are so many of them. You charge your what?
But it has speakers in it as well. So you can take phone calls and stuff, which, again, we're going down a technology road. But as I was saying a few weeks ago, I started watching the Ewan McGregor motorcycle show. The newest season is called The Long Way Home. And they're always talking to each other on their motorcycles. Like it's a motorcycle road trip show. But of course, it's 2025. So of course, you're always going to be able to talk to each other. And I've thought about that when I go, cycling with my partner in the summer. It's like, it's annoying to have to ride up to them to say something. And I think we should just have an ear pod in and just be on a phone call the whole time or something.
Speaking of ear pods, I mean, if you have ear pods in, that kind of makes cycling more dangerous, right? Because you can't hear your environment.
Yes, but I use what is it called? Yeah, it's transparency mode, it's called. So there's little microphones in the headphones and it feeds some of the real world into you. Yes, it works pretty well.
But I would think of that as a concern if you're blocking out any of the real world, that the helmet microphone would be, the speakers would be an interesting safety addition.
Probably.
And I suppose that's why they're there.
Probably safer. Because then you don't want people pulling out their phones and texting while cycling. This is as bad as texting while driving.
Get out of traffic. Yeah.
So the fact that it's a speaker rather than headphone is probably a little bit safer.
And the price tag is $250?
$250. Not cheap, but apparently there are smart helmets that cost more than that. For something as techie as this, I thought $250 US seemed reasonable.
I mean, you could spend $100 on a good bike helmet, I suppose.
Yeah, easily. Something with no electronics in it, yeah.
I wonder if any of this technology is being employed in the NFL, American football, because one of the things I have trouble, my son's always trying to get me to watch with him, and it's like watching hockey and people are fighting when you bring your kids to like a hockey game. And it's just part of the game. It's just part of the game.
No, that's not normal.
It's not part of the game.
That is not normal.
You don't get a goal for punching people, but for violence. But they're hauled off to what's the blue tent now. They have these blue tents on the sidelines to see how bad the concussion is. And it's just like brain injury.
Everyone's entitled to a safe workplace, and that includes people who are making millions of dollars a year playing sports.
Yeah, because so many of them have health issues later on, which you kind of have to have empathy for, even if they are rich. All right, one more story for me that I wanted to bring up this week, and that was about corn, because we touched on it briefly on our last episode. This is from The Guardian again. This is corn's environmental problem. And my speaking problem, corn is critical to the U.S. rural economy and its global food supply. A lot more corn grown down there than up here in Canada. Well, until climate changes make that more possible here. But researchers say the problem isn't corn itself, it's how it's grown. Modern corn farming uses large amounts of nitrogen fertilizer, and that fertilizer releases nitrous oxide, a greenhouse gas, 300 times stronger than CO2. I have to confess, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is, I knew that there was a problem with emissions, but I didn't know that the nitrous oxide was 300 times stronger than CO2. producing the fertilizer also creates lots of CO2 emissions, and that's what they're doing here in our province, is using potash to create fertilizer in different forms. Sometimes it's raw, sometimes it's processed. Ethanol's roles, 40% of U.S. corn is turned into ethanol for gasoline, which is barbaric if you know what we know, and if you know what our listeners know. It's barbaric. It's stupid. It's just beyond the pale. It's the government's fault. They were trying to be good, 25 years ago and have, incentives to do this, and they thought that was the only way. But we know now, you put up an acre of solar panels and it'll get you way further than an acre of corn will in transportation. So industry claims that ethanol cuts emissions and boosts rural economies. Well, it boosts the economies. Some researchers say corn ethanol may have a climate impact equal to or worse than gasoline.
Well, that would be not good.
And this is something that we've been hearing for a while, but not that it was equal or worse than gasoline. We knew that it wasn't as great as they said it was. And as the years went along, it gets worse. But it's expanding, Brian. This is shocking. U.S. corn production is up nearly 50% since 2000. The other thing it's used for? Corn sugars that go into processed foods, which are killing us. Which is
high fructose corn syrup, yeah.
Nasty business there. So there's almost most of the corn is not corn. It's doing either destroying the planet or destroying people. The Federal Renewable Fuel Standard, I love corn. Yeah. I'm a corn fan. It's one of the few vegetables I indulge in regularly. The Federal Renewable Fuel Standard requires ethanol in all gasoline. And you know what? It pisses me off because people complain about solar panels taking up farmland. But they don't complain about corn taking up farmland or corn for ethanol taking up farmland. And if you knew what we know, it would seem, an absurd argument to make. But many plant continuous corn, which is corn every year on the same land, which needs extra fertilizer than if you swap out other crops or not plant something, and creates high emissions. So corn and ethanol groups have spent $55 million lobbying. Big Corn, Brian, Big Corn is lobbying U.S. government since 2010, $55 million. And in 2024, they spent twice as much as lobbying as the NRA.
Wow.
Who knew? Like, I kind of wish this was on the regular show because, damn it. Yeah. Agriculture is over 10% of U.S. emissions. Corn is the biggest driver of nitrous oxide. So there you have it. It's just, there are solutions like crop rotation, covering crops, sort of roller crimping techniques for natural weed control, planting trees and shrubs, which we used to do here, but don't anymore, hedgerows and things like that. But I don't know. It's not good. And it's one of those things that's correctable, like there are things that are hard and there are things that are a lot easier, that are more low-hanging fruit when we want to attack climate change.
Now, I'm no scientist, I'm no farmer, I'm no agricultural expert.
What are you then? What does that leave? Podcaster? When I was asked the other day by my medical professional, what do you do? I had to say podcaster and I felt ashamed because everybody's a podcaster. I'm a TV watcher. I'm a couch sitter.
But here's the thing that's always seemed remarkable about corn to me, and this is, I'm sure, what has led us down the path of using it for corn syrup and for fuel. Just the physical size of it. The fact that you can grow corn in a single season and it gets to be so massively high and large, like it's just got to be one of the highest return crops just in terms of volume, like in terms of weight. But of course, to support that, like you said, you need to use a ton of fertilizer to make that happen every year.
And water, if you don't have it. Yeah. Any corn grown in Canada tends to be irrigation. So you'll see circles of corn rather than large crops like we have for grains.
But yeah, it's just, it's so physically large. Anyway, okay, from energy storage news, the world's largest sand battery. And this is a thing we talk about occasionally, and it's using sand to store heat. So this one is going to be in Finland, and it's going to be used for heating and ancillary services, whatever those are. And storage capacity of about 250 megawatts and can output about 2 megawatts of thermal energy. And so it's a 125-hour system. It can store 125 hours worth of heat.
Wow, that's a lot.
It can output at 2 megawatts. Yeah, if it outputs out 2 megawatts, it can do that for 125 hours. But yeah, that's one of I think the advantages of a sand battery. Storing heat in sand is it can stick around for quite a while. But yeah, this is the largest one in the world so far. So this is one of those things that can be helpful in the future.
It's 5 days. So that's pretty good for storage, for energy storage. Yeah. 5 days. And that starts to do things for you.
And of course, they're using this in a district heating network, which is a thing that they often do in the Scandinavian countries, is that they're heating a large area at one time. So that's a place where a sand battery makes sense.
And I keep thinking, though, that this is a relatively early days of energy storage, whether it's batteries or any other technique. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get longer. The numbers for batteries, for days of battery storage, our hours are getting longer. They started at 2, went to 4, went to 8. And we're going to start reporting on longer than that next year, I'm sure, based on what I've been reading. And heat and brick and fire and all this stuff, these fire bricks that hold heat for days and days. Interesting stuff, because it makes renewables work. It makes the percentage of renewables you have on the grid work, and stands in for the variability of that stuff. I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters who are in the Clean Club. You guys are great. You make the podcast happen. We are very, very appreciative of you. And I hope you don't mind if we run this podcast over New Year's when we're off for a week to everyone else, because I want everyone else to hear it.
We will definitely take a week off at Christmas. But we'll see you with another bonus in a month.
Okay.
All right. Take care.